Hey everybody, welcome to Startup Arts. I want to talk a little bit today about something I wrote about in the Founder Dynamics article in the talent series, which is motivation for being an entrepreneur. I was out running around doing some errands today, and I was listening to a great podcast by Jason Calacanis called This Week in Startups. And in his episode 612, he didn't ask me anything episode, and one of the questions he got was around the typical questions that investors ask new entrepreneurs that are pitching. And one of those questions is, why are you doing this? And as Jason rightly pointed out, if the answer is, I'm going to be rich, big red flag. A lot of investors will roll their eyes at that and be like, okay, we're done. And there's a couple of reasons for that. And in the article, I talked about a couple of different things, but I want to expand upon the I'm going to be rich notion of motivation around entrepreneurship. So there are essentially 5 different big, broad categories of answers to the why are you in this question. The first one is, I'm going to be rich. The second one is, it's time for me to be my own boss. The third one is, everybody else is stupid and I'm going to solve this problem, right? The fourth one is, I really have a long-term goal in mind, but this is a good problem and I'm going to solve this along the way to get to that. You hear that sometimes with people who especially have some kind of social entrepreneurship notion where they go and work at a particular business as a co-founder perhaps while they're on their way to solving their bigger social issue, right? And then the last one is, I saw this problem, I think I can solve it, it's a big problem for my customers, I'm going to go do it. Now the first 3 are the 3 negatives, and we'll talk about each one of them. The first one is, I'm going to be rich. Now why is that an issue for investors? The biggest reason is because it's about you. It's not about your customers, it's not about your team, it's not about your investors, it's not about your product, it's about you, which is a difficult thing, right? And what that tells me as an investor is you're going to make decisions that are good for you personally over decisions that are going to be good for the company. Now, occasionally you'll see things like entrepreneurs who have this motivation doing things like paying themselves before they pay their employees. Or they will start taking money out of the company early, or sign a quick partnership deal, which is terrible for the business, but gives them some quick revenue so they can keep paying themselves. Now, there's nothing wrong with paying yourself, but if your motivation is to be rich, and that's the first thing you think about is your pay packet, it's not going to be the best thing for your business. It's certainly not going to be the best thing for your customers, and it's not going to be the best thing for me as the investor. The second one is everybody else is stupid, and I'm going to show them. That's also about ego, right? It's about ego and control. Now, occasionally you'll see this in technical founders who have been abused at their previous job. They couldn't get an idea pitched to senior management at the corporation they worked for, and they get angry and they leave and they want to show the company they used to work for. Well, then their motivation isn't about their customer either. It's about showing that they know what they're doing. And there's a lot of insecurity in that. That means you're not going to be listening to feedback about whether it's working or not. You're going to be so invested in your particular idea that you're going to be unwilling to pivot whenever you need to. You're probably not going to take the kind of feedback you're going to need to take in order to be really successful. It also means, what are you going to think when I tell you need to do something different? If I'm your investor, are you going to tell me I'm stupid? You're going to tell your customers they're stupid whenever they try and tell you what to do? Or what they need or what features they really care about? Are you going to listen to the press whenever they say, this isn't really working? So if you have that motivation, you're probably impervious to a lot of feedback, and you cannot be impervious to feedback whenever you're an entrepreneur. I mean, what are you going to do when your team tells you need to do something differently or gives you a brilliant new idea? Are you going to tell them they're stupid? Are you going to pass up opportunities? Anyway, I could go on forever about this one because I see that one a lot. The other one is, I'm going to be the boss. Again, it's about you. It's about your control over the situation and your saying what goes. The best leaders are the ones that take lots of input, listen to what's going on, not necessarily go by consensus, but have the best interest of their team and their constituencies at heart, not themselves, right? They may have an idea going in, they may walk out with a completely different idea, they're eminently flexible, when they're faced with facts and they're faced with data, right? But if you want to be the boss, it's about your final say. It's not about coming to the best decision. It's not following the best path. It's about following your path and your path alone. Again, the investor, if I give you some advice, you're going to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about because you're the boss. It's your company. You can do what you want. Okay, fine. But you don't need my money then. Now, the last two are differentiated from the first three because the last two are about the customer. They're about solving a problem and having passion for solving that problem and making their lives better. That's the best motivation that you can ask for from an entrepreneur because they're in it to actually do service. Now, you might get rich along the way. As Jason pointed out in his talk, that's a great artifact of solving the problem. But it's not the point, right? If you are in it because you're out there solving a problem, you're going to listen to your customers, you're going to listen to your team, you're going to try and take the most reasonable path, you're going to stick with it whenever the going gets really hard. The first three won't stick with it when they're faced with overwhelming opposition to their way or the highway, or they're not making the money that they really want to make, or it looks like they may not get rich. When the going gets tough, and the going gets tough, the people who are passionate about solving the problem will continue to pursue a solution to that problem and be as flexible as they need to be to get the solution out there. So those are wonderful. Now, why did I write about this in terms of founder dynamics? The reason why is because where I see this being the biggest problem is because, quite honestly, a lot of people don't make it through the angel phase who have the poor motivations, right? But if you're a co-founder and you're putting yourself in a position where you have one or two other founders, you want to make sure that they have motivations that are aligned with yours. If you're in it to go solve a problem and you're passionate about solving that problem, but your co-founder, your head of sales, or maybe your CEO, or maybe your CTO is in it to show people or to get rich, you're going to end up at loggerheads when it comes to decision making. And you're probably going to end up in some difficult situations where one or both of you decide that it's no longer worth it. You don't want to put yourself in that situation. So it's imperative that when you're forming your company and you're working with some co-founders, that your motivations are aligned and they're good, right? If you two or three have the motivation to go solve a problem, you're passionate about it, you have a much higher probability of success than if one of you has the right motivation and the other one or two of you don't. Right? And it will show up in your decision making. It will show up when you get together and try and make a decision. It will show up in the way that they treat the employees of the company versus the way you treat it. You're going to end up with different cultures and different pulls on cultures. Never good, right? So again, make sure that when you're founding your company that you understand what your motivation is and you understand what the motivation is for your co-founders. And then you can have confidence going up in front of some angel or seed investors and then A-round investors, telling them exactly why you're in it, and you can have confidence that they will understand your motivation and be inspired by it, versus you're another one of those who wants to be rich, right? Or you're another one of those who wants to be in control. Don't be that person. All right, thanks for listening. I hope I get some great feedback on this. Please contact me and let me know what you think. I'm looking for some great discussion, and thank you again.